Welcome to ForceProSports Laserforce Podcast with your host, Mr. Mischief.
My internet cut out, and we're back. Anyway, 2016. We were kind of moving towards after SCYTHE and our character development, and yeah. So what came next?
We played a West Coast, and Loveland sent out a team, and we got fucking smashed by Beasts of the East featuring Pintsize, and SCYTHE was playing for St. George.
That's right.
Yep.
What was that all about? You could have had almost a totally full Detroit team, right?
Yeah. So there's
what is this malarkey?
Yeah, there was some Maillard stuff in there. No, like I was saying before your internet cut out, it was really just St. George reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would you be interested, in playing?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I think the mindset for me at least was, I was still kind of dealing with the anger towards my site of them not playing in 2015, and I was looking to like kind of not atone, but make up for kind of my, we'll call it, attitude and demeanor in 2015. So I wasn't looking for something like super hardcore competitive and required a ton of training and everything to like kind of get into it. I was just trying to look to get back into the swing of things. I knew like Eves and the St. George guys were like all super laid back, super welcoming, and just happy all the time. So I was like, you know what? I think that is what I want to do. I want to kind of try to play on that team, and I had full confidence in the East Coast team playing and coming together and doing as well as they did. But for me, it was just like I'm going to take a break from playing with Detroit. Given what happened, and I'm going to play on the St. George team. The other part of it, though, is like the community side of things is you get to play against these players all the time, but you never really get to play with them. And, it was, like I said, it was never anything personal with like the Beast from the East team. There was no like leftover reaction from 2011 or what we call the split. I was just looking to play, with Eves and them because, at the time Eves was still, probably the second most dominant player in our site or in our community outside of our site. So them having that full team and being able to play with them did open up a little bit to how 2016 kind of played out. But playing with them though was like an absolute treat and pleasure, and I cannot speak highly enough of those guys. Just being super welcoming to me, of like bringing me on and kind of talking about like I'm there, but it's like I want to make sure that they're playing their game and they want to play how they want to play. To worry about what I'm bringing or like what you might want, what I might want to play, like feel like you guys are the set team. I'm just the merc. Like if you want me to scout it up, I am perfectly okay scouting it up, and that's kind of how I approached it. But I love that tournament. I know it didn't work out in our favor, but I loved playing with those guys, and it really opened my eyes to like another like tier of like teamwork that could be unlocked for Detroit. So,
what year was that?
2016. That was when you won All-Star Ammo.
My one and only. I think that was like the last full tournament for me that I play, or did I play with you guys in 2017?
2016.
Yeah.
So I say that West Coast was the last like full tournament that I think I played the whole thing. Because starting NADS 2016 was kind of where like I was dealing with some mental health stuff, and I had this like insane performance anxiety basically. And I was getting panic attacks very frequently in games. Yeah, so that the fake Nats was very rough for me. And so I think I played maybe half of the games because we had taken Thunder on our team as well and rostered 7. So yeah, I think he probably ended up playing more of the games than I did.
Yeah, I would say.
Was that the first time that we rostered 7 on a team?
Like us, like Detroit.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. You know, I had been preaching that for like 4 years by that point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's because you're always, you know, breaking and falling apart and need somebody to cover for you.
That's right.
Yeah, if you remember, we floated it in 2013, but then we were like the only person that we, you know, felt that would fit kind of that 7-player role was JB, and he was, you know, the star of the B team, and we didn't want to cannibalize them by taking that.
I thought it was one.
It was either or, but JB is like
between the two of them.
Yeah, it's who we were kind of like leaning towards, but at the same time, we didn't want to cannibalize their team to like.
No, because we were trying to get first and second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2016 was quote unquote fake Nats. But that happened. It still went on. It just went on without a particular set of players there. So an incident ended up happening in the game with Craig's team and our team.
Micro.
Yeah, and Micro. Where what was that? Yeah.
Sorry, it was pretty symbolic, honestly, that it was Detroit versus Craig that created that conflict. Like,
yeah, full coming together piece there.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the incident happened, and again, I'll let Micro share all his thoughts and details of what happened and that in our coming up thing. But I will say, like, it was bad enough where, you know, threats happened and it no longer was a game. It was like, are these two people going to kill each other? And that's pretty much what it felt like. And because of how serious it was, we didn't feel like our two teams could play against each other again without something happening. And the captains kind of got together and we were like, okay, well, this has now happened multiple times. It was kind of like the catalyst everyone was looking for to use as a quote unquote reason to ban like Craig's group. And it just was culminating. You could feel it. Like you could feel the stuff that happened in 2013 and 2015 was all coming together in this tournament. And it wasn't just our games. Like it happened in New York's game. So if you guys remember that piece with Abby, you know, saying that some stuff was said to her in one of the games. And then it wasn't Lenny. I can't remember the other person that was on the team. He was in one of the pictures. He's standing next to Abby by the door, but he also had stuff like Craig said things to him. He's in the gray, the mammoth.
Oh, yeah.
And then Beans also had comments made.
Beans' cousin?
I don't remember his name, but yes.
All of that put together caused Beans to pull together the captains and really Sanch to make a decision on how do we move forward with this, because they paid, we're playing a tournament, but they feel our two teams can no longer play against each other. And poor Thunder, like Thunder's just like in this as well. So but I think he also kind of understood like the severity of what has been happening. And with it, the decision was made to quote unquote cancel the national tournament. And with that happening, it's like, oh, we'll play fun games for the rest of the time and just kind of see how it goes. and not keep track of stuff or anything like that. And Craig's team wanted no part of it. So they basically, just quote unquote forfeited. And that was a whole nother thing, like with the dinner and everything and all of that. But the decision was made to cancel it, and we would continue like in the same format with the same matchups and play through the rest of the tournament as the tournament would happen. So we did end up playing the rest of it, and fortunately our team came up short in second place, but
pretty much once Craig's group left, we were like, all right, well, let's just finish the tournament, but not officially.
Yeah. But it was like you could tell the atmosphere was just different after they left. Like it was a lot more laid back. People were having fun again, and there was no fog of war over everything that had happened. Everyone was relaxed. There were no other blowups that happened. There was tense moments in the game with our game against New York, but there was no super bad blowup or anything. Everyone was still super happy and in good spirits. So. But that was really the beginning of the end for Craig's group.
I remember you guys were beefing with Micro because he wouldn't drop his nukes.
Yeah, that was the fun part.
They're my nukes. Get your own.
Yeah. But yeah, after that,
where's my nukes?
Go ahead. What?
I said, did you guys deserve those nukes?
Oh.
Yeah, Micro's asking the tough questions that no other commander asks.
Yeah. Stu's throwing a homage back to 2011. I see you, Stu. You don't deserve. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But no, the one thing I think from this tournament though that kind of got overshadowed is if you took them out of this tournament was extremely fun. You had a laid back side owner who was okay with pretty much anything happening. You had the fun times at Tully's, you had the bar next door, you had the drinks, you had all of the fun things that make the tournament fun outside of playing. You had there, and there was not a lot of issues after that. It was just once the core group kind of left the building and forfeited, and the rest of the team just played out the remaining games. Everyone was happy at that point. I know Syracuse was not happy because this would have been their official win. So similar to our 2013 win, it would have been their official win, even though we call it unofficial. I still count it as a win for them, even though they say they canceled the Nats. But to me, it was Syracuse's first time winning the Nats in the tournament, and they should be happy. They should be proud because they played two hell of a fucking games against us. And those were two of my favorite games, that I have at in Syracuse's arena, and I loved it. It was
can I say something?
That moment happened. It was just great.
I was thinking that I want the community to know, to take this and say, look, one way we could view this is that Syracuse sacrificed their own Nats to remove Craig from the scene, and
there's definitely a way to look at that, and that's kind of how it feels.
And I want to make an official motion right here on the podcast. I propose the committee get together and vote to unfake Nats 2016. Make it official.
Reinstate Syracuse's national title.
I
the
think
only person.
I think they should.
The only person you really have to convince anymore is Beans.
We
all basically told him this last year.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah, Beans is well, it didn't count at the time. We're all
whatever,
dude.
Yeah, it
counted.
Let's just out.
No, I counted. They were champions in my book. Like I said, they faced us with Thunder and punched us in the face and defended their home turf. So, that's a champion.
I was reffing for that game. It was an epic game, and I've never seen Syracuse play better.
Yeah. So
I thought the second game was kind of memey with Jesse standing on the pillars.
Yeah. Right. It's we're not making up this deficit, but
yeah, that's why, because the first game was such a smashing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that kind of leads us into 2017 and the era of the backpack that has came to be known.
I'll see if I can find any photos from that one.
Yeah, so that's 2017 Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And
Weirdly
Taipan's
enough,
first
DK does
time
not have a
over.
folder for this.
No, it's okay.
Maybe he doesn't want to
Maybe they
remember
want to
it.
forget it because of what happened. But,
Yeah, just no photos.
no, like everything, there's a lesson in everything to be known. And again, 2017, SCYTHE is without a traveling team. We had our team. It was us, Noob, Terrell. Shout out to both of them though, in case they watch this. But we were not any type of strength team from Detroit. We're just kind of like who's going and who wants to go, and we have to play together. So we have to learn to play together. And like I said, like everything, it was a lot of learning. It was a lot of me having to realize, like, all right, sometimes you have to be the person that is going to drag the team across the finish line. And you know, there are some of those games I've never played harder in my life in those games. And those games, we're talking, my medic's dead in 4 minutes. And I am trying to will us to the finish line of like completing this game and winning the game. There were games, if you look in the scorecards, where I had, you know, 14K, 15K, like close to 16K in some of these games. And it really like showed what I was trying to show in 2015, only without the villain arc of, you know, I have this tremendous talent. If I have a team with me, I can carry us to as far as the team is willing to go. And Taipan made a comment after one of the games that just kind of stuck with everyone is like, hey, it's like, congratulations, SCYTHE, and everyone that's in your backpack. And it just kind of stuck from there. And they always talked about it afterwards. Like SCYTHE in the backpack was
I
me
think the
with those
backpack
games.
started way earlier.
What was that?
As I think the backpack thing started way earlier than that.
Team Solo Ray.
I credit it to Taipan because like after that, everyone was saying that in the tournament because it was just me memeing on this team where it's like 15K and the next person has like 5.
Okay, I think it was the Team Solo Ray that
yeah, Team Solo Ray was like from 20. It was at the end of the tournament in 2011, I think. Is when Team Solo Ray
that sounds
started.
about right, yeah.
Yeah. No, the man with the backpack was credited to Taipan and after one of the 15K games. But yeah, I ended up in that game. So another funny story for this. The first, I believe it was the first round of the second day of games. I was coming down the ramp and I had to dodge Noob, who was trying to run up the ramp in the wrong way of what we were supposed to be doing at that castle. And I ended up smashing my knee into one of the fire like pipes that are on the side.
Yeah, the pole.
And the bolt that was hanging out the side of it. So yeah, it was bad. I had wrapped, I had ice, I had everything that I could do. I had to sit out a couple games. But unfortunately, I had to come back and play. So the captains allowed Taipan to play for me, which was super cool that the captains kind of came together and was like, okay, we feel, Taipan is an accurate player to SCYTHE's skill. I took it as a great honor that they're like, SCYTHE's on his level. And that's behind the scenes, but I was like, holy shit, they're allowing this person to submit for me. That's great. I thought they were going to have, another random player from the US sub for me, but he came in and subbed for the games that I couldn't play, and then I ended up having to play. So on a bum knee in some of those games, I'm running around in pain, dropping 14K, and I was just like, what am I doing now?
We remember that.
But yeah, like a lot of people talk about 2017 is like they remember me doing these things, I wouldn't say solo because I had a team, but as commander, running around trying to just will my team to win games. And it's hard when you're doing that. Like when you are just 5 sets of eyes are on you and you can't do anything and you can't move and everyone's just shooting you from every direction. It sucks, but
So painful.
yeah, you look at the team and it hurts.
I just wanted to remember this little memory.
Yeah. It hurts a lot. It's painful, but
My memory from this game is we did shove your team downstairs, but
oh yeah,
you stood down there in the open like the Terminator when he's on the rooftop just shooting all the police cars. Like you were just pecking us off from the first floor, racking up 14K and dropping nukes, and we couldn't win. And you eliminated us.
I would just say like the perseverance that I learned from 2013 and kind of 2011 and on to 2015, like prepared me for these games in 2017. Because if it was like old me, I would have just been pissed and shut down and just gave up. And like I think people, if they hadn't known about me or hadn't seen me play before, they got to see firsthand the like no quit, I'm not gonna give up, like I'm gonna die on this hill type mentality that I carried throughout playing tag. And that's where like a lot of your guys is like saw me playing in that aspect of like, well, I'm here vibing with the team that I got, like, and my lesson learned from 2015 was just like embrace it, just like showcase your skill and show everyone that you belong in the upper conversations of who the best players are. And if you're that good, you're going to go out there and show it. If you suck, then you're going to go out there and suck. So that's how I kind of took 2017. But I know you guys, Stu, were you there? You didn't play in 17, did you?
No, that's when I did the limo business. So
that's right.
16,
yeah.
17, and 18 were a wrap for me.
Yeah.
Rachel was there, but she didn't play.
She was supporting us.
That doesn't work well.
Oh, sorry, I can pull that up. I didn't know if that was from Sacramento.
No,
Wait,
that's
no.
2019.
Honestly, like,
Oh,
want
see,
to
that's
go
it.
to 2019?
I am
we can do
totally
20.
messed up,
We can do 2018 really quick. I'll just like briefly touch on that. So 2018
Yeah.
we're back to Brisbane.
Then I'll pull up your photo, Rachel.
And my second outing in Brisbane, I'm super hopeful we have a better team than we had in 2014. And 2018 is kind of like my biggest regret and playing. It's bigger than 2015, believe it or not. And the reason for that being is I approached 2018 really the wrong way. I approached it as, we were all extremely great players, and we were meshing really well together. But I didn't know that players on my team needed we'll call it an enhanced leadership person. I can certainly fill that role. I've done that on the Detroit teams, but I didn't know that was what was needed in 2018 until kind of afterwards. And, I just realized what was happening in the games, and I didn't step up in that role as I think others on my team would have liked me to have done, because to me, I was playing on a team with great players, and I didn't know that, those players needed that reinforcement or needed that kind of guidance in the moment of those games. So that piece, and I think really that started kind of my falling out with like kind of the Sacramento players of that piece is, I wasn't giving insight. I wasn't giving a lot of what I was seeing or feedback or, things that we could do differently. I just thought they understood the game to be played in Brisbane's arena, because there wasn't a lot of breakdowns. Like things happened, and yeah, like our medic left, but they were supposed to leave. Maybe they didn't go to the right spot, but then, I was like, oh, that's not a bad place that he went. Like, that's fine. But then when I realized the other people on the team felt it was a bad spot, Like, I didn't initially step up to say, like, well, no, Russ is right for going there, or no, Tom is right for standing at new tower versus back tower, right? And I think that caused animosity in the team. I think that, looking back on it after these years, is like, I should have stepped up. I should have said something. I should have been the voice of reason and, like, solidified what they were feeling, and then really even out, the game plan that we should have been playing. And we still did extremely well in that tournament, the highest that we've placed prior to you guys, winning in Auckland. But before that, it's the highest, a U.S. team has placed, and I felt good about it. But I didn't know, afterwards, that other players did not feel good about it, and they were looking for a little bit more leadership from me, and overall just more guidance. So I will say, like, 2018 was fun. Like, I had a blast playing with them. But I do, like, acknowledge, I could have stepped up more. I could have gave more guidance to my resupply on what I wanted them to do versus in those moments where the breakdowns happened. And, I was frustrated some games, and then my team was frustrated some games. But it was all building towards something great, to where after that kind of happened, I realized, well, the unspoken leadership should still be there. Like, I should be voicing my opinion. I should be saying what we should be doing. And I should be leading at the forefront versus passively leading as just like a player in the game. So that's kind of like how
Can I say
2018.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that because I remember you talking about that a bit, your experience with that, and like reflecting on that and the difference between 2013 you and what led to 2019. Like, it was night and day.
Yeah.
Absolutely night and day.
Yeah, and I think, like, the thing I'll touch on really, like, in the series that we want to do for Detroit is, like, the growth of everybody, because it's going to be from everyone's perspective of how they saw these things happening. And even for myself, leaving 2018 on that plane flight, I was like, I feel like we could have did better. I feel like we could have took second, right? Like, I feel we could have beat Taipan's team. Maybe, challenged Brisbane in a way that would have been better than the fight that we put up. And it really just, hindsight's 2020. I look back on it afterwards, and I should have been a better leader, and I do apologize, to Russ and Tom and to DK and others that were expecting more from that, and really all they got was a raw player just trying to carry the team versus someone that could have, provided more guidance in those moments. But like I said, looking back on it and realizing it built towards, 2019, where it all came together, and, where the legacy kind of, reaches its peak for Detroit is 2019. So, but before we get there, do you guys have any questions or anything really quick?
Real quick, I'm gonna take off since I wasn't around beyond this point. So
Thank you so much for coming on, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks for joining
having
us. We appreciate it. We will definitely have you in the series for us, though. So
okay, let me know.
Yep.
Bye.
It was cool talking
Take
to you.
care.
Bye.
Yep.
Yes, too.
But
Just
any
the
questions
four
from you
of
guys
us.
before we get into probably the most famous known tournament so far?
Well, a comment more than a question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of unfair to say that you were not providing very good leadership. From my memory in 2018, I remember your team being very, like, quiet. Like, for the most part, you guys didn't really talk about the game itself, and instead, like, it was either socializing or playing World of Warcraft at the table. And
Yeah, they were doing that. That was not me. I was not a WoW fan.
And well, I mean, I definitely asked you a lot of questions. My team, the Brisbane D team, was kind of struggling at that point, and like I remember specifically you and I had a conversation about like how to like have these types of conversations and how to like put each other in positions where we feel like we can talk and like grow and find motivation, right?
Yeah.
Because like after talking to you about like how to so the prelude to that is like I remember coming up to you and being like, I just don't know what to do, man. My team, they don't even want to play, right? Like they're not listening to me, they're not listening to each other. We're having all of these problems, and you were like, you're overcomplicating this. Just go talk to them. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And so we went over, we talked at the games, and then like we had our best game of the entire event immediately after that. And like, I don't know, I feel like your impacts sometimes, you can be anybody can be a little overcritical of themselves, but like I know for a fact that like, I mean, Odin's Fist definitely felt a little bit like he was kind of on an island,
Yeah.
but like your team overall, I thought you guys were dealing with all sorts of different hardships that were kind of outside of your control, right? Like Baden's knee falling out on the ramp was kind of tough.
Yeah, that was a bit tough.
It was pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
Did you feel like your skill expression in 2018 ended up transitioning super well into 2019, or did you feel like you had already kind of hit this performance level that was necessary? Did you grow more?
I would say I grew more. I think like, again, like things that happened in the games, like, yeah, different players were blaming different things that were happening in the game. And like I didn't provide a voice of reason of like who was right in those instances. And I think as I was seeing them in real time happening in the game, like I play a midfield style, so like I'm adjusting to what's happening versus like trying to control someone else to do what I need them to do. I'm just adjusting myself. Like whereas when we were playing with Baden, like he does relatively the same thing, but he's like a forward attacking person, right? And the issue that we were having is like with me in the mid and him forward, which is how Brisbane really plays a lot of the games, we were not understanding like, okay, if we have both 3 hits with us, how is the team either like not full or split, or like we come back and they're gone, like and I think on a couple occasions, like when I was asking them, like, oh, this happened, or like this person got in, or like, they got this wild shot on us, or we shot them and we didn't put anyone down, and we went down. And when we were talking through that, I think it opened up my mind more of like, okay, so if this happens, like we start making these strategies of, okay, this happens, let's go here, right? And like, hey, if we're on back tower, Tom, like sit on this exact corner where you can't get shot. We know we can get hit from vortex and stuff, but it's like sit on this exact corner this way. And those little things did start to develop, but I don't think they developed enough. And in 2019 and the months leading up to 2019, when Brisbane was confirmed coming, like everything shifted in Detroit. Everything was like, okay, we're playing all these training games, we're like doing all this preparation, we're telling, like, we're meeting, we're talking, we're doing all this stuff, and everything is under the notion that we will not be the favorite to win the tournament, and we have to acknowledge that and come to an agreement that that is okay. It's okay if everyone doesn't think we're going to win, because we know we're going to win. Setting that mindset very early on, it did cause, some chaos with Micro and Ghost early on. I think they weren't used to seeing me stop in a game and be like, what the F are you doing, right? They weren't used to, me coaching in the moment, or me like stop doing that, attack this way instead, or like, Ghost, what are you doing? You got to get your bases early, or like, they weren't used to that. And the other piece that we were plugging into this is like, I wanted to utilize the downstairs more, because I knew Brisbane was going to struggle with it. And that was throwing all our timing off. And so like the games was a lot of me like yelling, it was a lot of me coaching, it was a lot of me just like and no one was spared from it. And, you know, I appreciate that, you know, in some of those moments, it was really tough because we were winning the game by 10K. Yeah. But I was like, we're winning the wrong way. Like, we're not going to win winning this way. And they didn't see it from that point of view. So I think like the level up that I got was, how do I use what happened with Tom and Russ and Odin and DK and even Baden in some instances of like the defensive mindset of like, Micro's a very forward attacker, Baden's a very forward attacker. Like the team was kind of like reminiscent of 2018. So a lot of the lessons that I learned from that and I didn't take from 2018, I was applying to 2019. And my team, like, I thank you guys for dealing with me because I was a pain in the ass during some of those games. Like, you know, one night we stopped playing because me and Micro got in a really bad argument about what he was supposed to be doing. And, you know, we made up afterwards. We, you know, I apologize. You know, I said, I'm sorry. Like, you know, I shouldn't have came off like that. It's just, dude, I want to win so bad. Like, I want to erase the asterisk from 2019 or from 2013 and say, the first time Brisbane loses in the States is going to be to us. And I felt like that growth jump had to happen. But at the same time, in these games, and like, you know, they didn't know this, I was handicapping myself. I was like purposely not taking, you know, all the resupplies I could and playing low and playing critical to see like, can I carry a game from a perspective where my ammo's dead? Where my medic's dead. Like, hey, I'm lives low. They haven't nuked yet. I'm not going to take lives. Like, just get shots. And I would tell Ghost I'm fine, but I'm not fine. I'm at 9 lives. But it's like trying to train myself in a position where the other team couldn't give us that type of training. And, you know, there were other aspects of it with like ego and like animosity forming with like the B team players of like, we wanted the B team to play a couple games with an extra heavy and they wouldn't do it. Or an extra commander, and they wouldn't do it. They wanted to play with their team. And like, we get it, and like, we understand it, but we're like, we have to train too, and we have to do things too. So we started saying like, okay, we'll play with 5, and then they didn't like that. And they wanted to be treated fairly, but at the same time, they also didn't understand the vision is for Detroit to win, not only just us winning, but to win 1-2, to have the B team also be with us there on the podium. And it's like, these things have to happen. And we got to a point where when I really felt we were great was about 2 months out. We had a game we almost lost. And after the game, the demeanor that night flipped. It was the second game of the night, and I still remember it. We almost lost the game, and it was due to bases. And hindsight's 2020 in the tournament, we lost to Brisbane on bases, and we had to go to a grand final. And I think if that hadn't happened in that month prior where we shut that out and we came back in the third game and just like, you know, wrecked face and we regrouped and there was no yelling, there was no shouting, there was no anything. It just happened, right? And then in Nats, like it happened again and there was like, you know, oh shit, we blew our chance. We had it. But those conversations happened, but we just regrouped and we were in the starting box and I was giving the speech and, you know, saying it's going to be fine, and Juan's reinforcing what I'm saying, and we're buying into it. But I think that growth happened in those last 2 months of like the final kind of echelon that you saw, you know, me playing at in 2019 is a culmination of everything I learned over the years, in addition to, you know, what happened in 2018 and what happened in 2015. But long-winded answer, but yeah, it was like there was still another tier there to unlock, and that's really, I think, where everyone at the tournament got to see SCYTHE really at the top of his game, and how so much lore goes into what I have done really comes from like 2019, because it is a memorable tournament for me and a memorable tournament for our team. And we still had fun. Like, it wasn't like 2015 where I wasn't interacting with anyone. We still had a blast with everyone there. We were still going out at night. We were going to dinners. We were going to your guys' hotel rooms. Like, we were having a hell of a time, and it was the best time ever. So, but Stu, if you want, we can kick it back from the beginning, since it was kind of like long-winded. I haven't got to like the crazy stuff yet, but
I mean, it really helped us going into 2019 that we played, that we essentially did leagues for 2 months.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, the practice regimen leading up to that started in September, I want to say,
Yeah.
of 2018. And we really didn't quit until the tournament. So by the time the tournament came around, and that was the other thing, is like, we got there. It was the first time we'd done group play. We weren't terribly pleased with the groups because it was like everybody that we'd already been playing, and we wanted to play against other people. But at the same time, it was like we could see on day one how much our work paid off, not just for us, but for the B team as well. Like, and I feel like that was a real load off of everybody because it was intense leading up to it. Very, very intense. And not everybody was in agreement. I was just coming back into tag. I'd played a handful of tournaments, but I really didn't have the time to do much until we started training for that. And yeah, dude, it was wild. But once we finally got to start playing our games against other people, it started to click, I think, for a lot of us. The big challenge for me in particular was making sure that I was up and in position to give you guys your damn shots, because you guys were burning through them, and your accuracies were 95 plus. Like, I can't complain about how you're using those shots. It's just feeding you, Micro, and Juan in particular was super challenging. But also, Juan had a breakout tournament. I mean, he did really well in a tournament before then, but that was his breakout, right? Which is sad because that was also his end. But so, I mean, that was Juan reaching the mountaintop, right? And that was Wolfie rounding into form. That was Ghosty showing everybody what we all knew about Ghost.
Yeah.
And then Josh and Micro just being unreal in the arena.
Yeah, I would say, like, there were a couple firsts for this tournament. Like, one of it being we officially experimented with pool play for 10 teams. And the idea came from soccer. So I pitched this idea to the committee, like, hey, if we have 10 teams, this is what we're looking to do. And we were trying to maximize the amount of games, and we couldn't, me and Beans couldn't get the number to where we needed it to be, where it was like feasible for people, because we know, the bottom two teams, it's going to be rough. Like, you're not going to get as many games. You're going to be smashed. Like, it's not going to be a fun time. And we were trying to come up a way that really worked for everybody, worked for the schedule, and then, worked towards getting the most maximum amount of games possible, while still allowing everyone to play each other at least one time. And when the pool thing idea came out, at first, when we looked at it, we're like, oh, we don't know. It doesn't feel right. But then when I sat down, it was like, actually, like, this makes a lot of sense. Like, the pool seating didn't work out the way we intended it. We were hoping we'd get, different teams in our group than we got. But overall, like, it worked out for everybody, because I think everyone was really excited about it. Like, you got to play everyone in your group twice, you got to play the other group once, and that's technically still 3 rounds of what we were trying to do, and really just kind of solidified how we can expand it for the future. Like, and I'm happy it was a huge success, because part of the problem is, if we want to grow our scene, we have to be able to account for 10 teams, 12 teams, 14 teams. Like, granted, we're not quite there at the moment. We've kind of tapered off, but being able to make it scalable was like a huge sigh of relief. And the other thing we kind of talked about, prior to the tournament, as Stu alluded, was a 7th player. And in 2013, we were looking at JV, we were looking at Juan, and we didn't want to take away from the B team, right? And this time around, we felt, again, there was a ton of people we could have chose, and we felt, Wolfie had put the time in and the work in to understand how we were playing the game, and to, really dive in and ask questions and just try to grow her overall skill set into making our team, quote unquote. Even though there's no tryout, we were just trying to have a seventh in case something happened. And we knew the power of a seventh player would come into effect. And we just, with the injuries and kind of how hard we were playing, and if something happened, we didn't want to take a merc and leave it to chance that we would lose.
Yeah.
And at the forefront of all of this is, when the Aussies announced Baden was playing for them, and I knew beforehand because Baden told me, and I was like, dude, like, I understand. It's like your brother. I would never ask you to not play with your brother, especially if it was going to be his last time coming over here. I would never take that away from you. And he wanted to play there, and there were players again that voiced their displeasure, and he's with us, he should play with us and stuff. But I learned back in my time of trying to play with St. George, because that was a whole thing as well, and then 2015 trying to play with New York and Brisbane. It's like I was doing it for the wrong reasons, and Baden's doing it for the right reason. And I was secretly, not a lot of people know this, I was secretly happy, because then I know there was no asterisk that was coming. They were coming with a team that they had a premier, S tier American player, and Baden, aka like a New Zealand Americanized player, and they had Rusty, right? So they had a person that knew our arena like the back of their hand, and they had Rusty, who's arguably the best player of all time, bar none, and he had played in our arena multiple times, and he knew our arena, and he knew how to attack. So to me, I welcomed the challenge, because I was like, if we're ever going to prove ourselves as a team and as a site, it's going to be at this tournament, where we have the most stacking attacking power that they have going against our attacking power. And when the tournament started, you could kind of see that we were waiting for the second round to happen. We knew we were going to wreck pool play. We weren't losing a game of pool play. We were waiting to kind of see how those games were going to play out. And, it played out the first time, and we're like, okay, it's the first time we really, I feel like Micro and Ghost and Juan and Andy drank the Kool-Aid where they believed. And they like really bought into kind of what me and Stu were saying, where we can beat them. And again, the margin is not by a wide margin. Like, these games were very, very close games. And one of the things, Josiah, when you asked the question about growth, was incorporating the scorecard and the score announcements that were part of an update. So paying attention into the game of like where we are and calling that out in the game. And the whole time, we were playing in the first round of pool play, was you're going to hear me call out, and it's going to mean like attack harder or feint a little bit and let's go downstairs because we're winning the game, and guard the bases, right? So it's depending on how it was, or reading what they were doing would allow us to kind of adjust to what they were trying to accomplish at the end of the game. And in these games that we had, what we were able to look at, we looked at everything we could. We analyzed every little detail of what Rusty and Baden did in the game, attacking wise. I tested how their defense was very early in the game, like attacking them downstairs very quickly. We tested and looked at like, hey, who got full in the beginning? How did it work? How soon did you come back? When did Josh come back, right? And it allowed us to kind of game plan for how we were going to approach it in finals. And it's like one of us is getting knocked to losers, and that person is going to have to run losers. And if we can avoid losers and all those extra games, like that was what we wanted to do. So when we headed into kind of the elimination bracket, the pressure's up, the stakes are higher, everyone's like jittery. And I made a joke the first game, and Andy was laughing about this, but I was like, one of the things they tell you to do when you have to go to present in front of a large group of people is you do a power pose. Like, you do the most ridiculous power pose you could think of because it's obnoxious to you, but like no one sees it, only you see it, and it helps you relax, right? And Andy started making jokes about us doing a Ginyu force pose, right? And he's like doing the Guido, where he's like leading over, and he's like grabbing his butt and like doing that. And I was like, all right, if we do this before the grand final, right? Like I'll buy you guys all dinner, right? And it didn't end up happening because we dropped the game, and that whole fiasco happened with the grand final. But when they got knocked to losers, we were like, a sigh of relief happened. We don't have to play these extra games. We can just wait and see, and maybe one of these other teams will do the work for us and knock them out of the tournament. But you could see that they were also adjusting, and they were also in real time analyzing what Micro was doing, what Juan was doing, how we were holding space in the games, and some of the issues that kind of came up from us was like, we're staying out too long. Like, are we getting our bases early in the game, or are we getting them late? If we get them late, we weigh the risk of not being able to get them when we need to get them. And that was true, and it actually came up to fruition. And unfortunately, our B team had a crazy upset, and they guaranteed at least third, and they had to play Brisbane. And as the scoreboard shows, they weren't able to overcome Brisbane, but they overcame everyone else in the tournament, and we were proud knowing that they were able to accomplish so much in such a little amount of time, and come together and be able to play and really shock everyone as like Detroit's B team, because a lot of people that were weighing like where everyone was going to finish had them, like that fourth, fifth, maybe sixth spot. Not a lot of people were saying, they're going to take third. So a huge shout out to them as well for helping us, train as hard as we did. But going into kind of the final, again, there's a lot of jitters. I'm as cool as can be. Ghost was making jokes, calling me a serial killer because I was just calm and like, how are you not like antsy? It's like, the adrenaline's flowing. I'm ready to like prove myself. And I think in that moment, I noticed like a little bit of like our team was playing not to lose and not playing to win. And Stu mentioned that to me after the game, after the first game, where it's like, hey, the game's close. We got this. All we have to do is play our game and make sure we're not playing to lose, right? And unfortunately, some stuff happened in the second game where our communication got thrown off in the middle of the game. Didn't have a score update for a while because, unbeknownst to us, the score was flipping a lot. And without the score update, we also didn't hear, the countdown to the 60 seconds. And with the 60-second, timer happening, all we had was the 15-second timer. And unfortunately, Andy didn't have bases yet. And he was scrambling to go try to get his base. And he was getting shot a lot trying to get the base. And they were stopping him from getting the one base. And as you could see on the scorecard, it ended up costing us the game and the match. So we had to go to grand final. Before I get into that, Stu, did you want to add anything for those pieces?
I just remember the atmosphere with us was pretty tense. We had to make the switch to Wolfie, but Wolfie was good to go. Yeah, dude, it was tough because when we lost track of what was happening mid-game, the rotation completely broke down on resupply.
Yeah.
So Ghost and I were not able to assist. Well, let's be real. Ghost was not able to assist in the way that he had been through most of the tournament. And I had my own very slight frustrations with not being able to assist as well, but I knew that I had to be on point for you guys, and that was more valuable. And that's kind of how me and Ghost were playing that round. Not this game, because this game we actually pushed to top corner, which is one of the places we really wanted to be able to play against them from. And, we accomplished that. It's just we had the breakdown with Andy there. But like I said, some of the rotation on the resupplies weren't clean. And so in the grand final, that made things a lot tighter for me in particular. Just trying to be just trying to be on for you guys, because we also got pressured pretty hard in the
Yeah.
first grand final on red.
Yeah.
And and Micro wasn't happy. I knew that. But but we persevered in that game. We just when we got pinned down, that was really difficult to get out of.
Yeah.
And what was it? Because we didn't push all the way to secret for some reason, and that's what we were supposed to do. And you were like, "Why the heck did that not happen?"
Yeah.
I
would
mean,
say,
we fixed it.
yeah, like the not pushing the secret was, I think someone was in red base, and
They had two. They had a
Yeah.
3 at red, so they ended up having a 3 hit at red. I think it was Baden.
it was
And
'cause
they
he kept
had
shooting Andy.
Kodama. Kodama was trying. Well, it was a rotation between Kodama and Striker. They were trying to do actually the old classic move of sending the scout downstairs to go up the opponent's ramp just to make them turn their heads around. Like classic, and that was frustrating too, because it's like, I mean, this is how we used to always play. We should have an answer for this. And I mean, we did. It just didn't seem like it in the moment.
Yeah, the one thing I'll add on the kind of like mishap mid game is when I noticed the things weren't happening, like you guys kind of saw the score there. It's like, oh, Scythe has 11,000, and Baden actually top scored that game on their team, and Rusty was like 6 something, I think, or 7-5 or something.
7, yeah.
The breakdown happened because Rusty had cut through up top, but he was stuck between Micro and Juan, and Micro kept using Juan, and then Andy, who was in back corner with me, as a reset to keep Rusty like down for a long period of time. And then by the time Rusty got back to resupply, his team wasn't there because they had moved to red ramp to try to take our stuff. But it was like a ton of chaos in that moment. But like it worked out for me, but it didn't work out for the team. So then we kind of sat through the adjustments of like, okay, well, what can we do to stop that from happening this time? We know they're going to rush you guys off break. We know they're going to try to pressure and break us. Like, how do we have the water hit the wall and when the wall not crumble, pretty much? And we did figure that part out, and we knew like they're going to be super aggressive in grand finals because we look like we're wary, right? Like the SAC players were talking about, they see the fear in Detroit's eyes and stuff, and all I saw was we missed the base. Like, and that's what I told the team. I know Andy was kind of down on himself, and he felt like he cost the team that, and he's like, mentally, dude, I can't go back in there. I'm so sorry. And it's like, dude, you're fine. Like, every person has missed bases sometimes, in their career playing. So, and he just felt like he lost the tournament for us. And it's like, dude, no way. And, he was talking about the mental health aspect of it. And, I understood, and I was like, that's fine. It's like, we'll sub you out. We'll put Wolfie in, and Rhea is going to play with us. She knows what she's doing, and we're going to go from there. And that's pretty much what took us into the grand final. And I will say, like, these sets of games in Detroit, and the reason why this tournament is so memorable to me and really a lot of others is you have this arena. I'm not knocking other people's arena, but we have our arena. It's like this super, large arena. It's very, it's very big. It has a lot of pieces to it. But it's also very even. Like, it's evenly matched, where if you have highly skilled players on both sides playing, the arena is forgiving. If you get pushed downstairs, you can regroup. If you, take upstairs and you lose a piece downstairs, it's okay because they can't hit you from everywhere, right? And then the strategic parts of the arena like change based on where you are. And I think that showcased in these, 6 games where we played them. You have a score line that's less than 3,000 each game. And when you look at that, you're like, okay, these are the craziest sets of games to ever play, in a tournament to decide, who's going to win nationals, right? And I take pride in knowing that we got to play against Brisbane. in our arena at home with all the work that we've done, all the culmination of 10 years of playing has came down to this one match of winner take all. And there was a little bit of a speech that I gave at the beginning of the first game, and I won't go into the details of the speech, but it was very lighthearted. It was very, hey, we got this, and all of that. I'm just kind of reverberating what I was saying, and the point that me and Stu made earlier is like, just play to win. Like, don't play scared. Micro mentioned that, like, don't play scared. We got this. We can take them. Like, they have momentum now, but it's going to shift when we take the first game. Me, I'm always, the glass half full kind of guy. I'm always the optimist. I'm always the, leader out in front. It's like, well, it starts with me. If I set the tone for us and I can get us in a good position, we can take this, W and take this title. And as you see in the game, that's kind of what happened. Like, it was me attacking very early on, very, very quickly getting into that nuke with the base, but also like knowing it's rusty. He's probably already had one, but we were playing with that in mind. Like, we always in practice would play like act as if they have another nuke because it's rusty. And we kind of took that to heart in the games. And when we played the first game, we changed the strategy a little bit, and Stu kind of called this out, where we were more intentional about where we were placing. We placed a lot more emphasis with Rhea in the game on back corner versus Andy, who we knew that was going to flow between the two bridges in the tower. And having that there allowed me to go even farther up, knowing that Rhea is going to be behind me and shoot down anyone that's going to get, near me. And if Juan's down in the tower, Rhea has it. And if Rhea's down, Juan has it.
Yeah, I was going to say you and Juan, because that opened up Juan a bit in the other game. And I mean, Juan had a clutch nuke cancel in one of those games too.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
needed it to happen. He just went and got it like it was nothing. It was crazy.
But yeah, at the end of it all, like, we didn't know who won. Like, the crazy thing about this game, and if you have the sounds playing, you can tell at the end of the game, like, we don't get a score check. We were trailing about 2 minutes left, and I was like, guys, we're losing. And, we're trying to figure out
almost 2K.
Yeah. And we're trying to figure out, like, hey, what do we need to do? How do we pull this off? Blah, blah, blah. And we just went on like this massive attacking run. I was stuck in the tower, like attacking with Juan, and there was like 6 people on the tower at this point, and we're like, what's happening? What's going on? But in the second game, when all that was happening and it's getting down to the final, little bit, we didn't get a scorecard. We didn't get a score announcement. So we didn't know who was winning, who was trailing. And DK was next to me when we were in the tower, because there's 6 of us standing there. And we were just waiting for what our pack was going to say. And when it said, good job, your team placed first, like, all the emotion is out, and, you win, and you're like, we fucking did it. We finally, overcame 2013. We overcame 2015. They came here. We are the first team to defend their home arena. And, the culmination of all the hard work came out. And, like, Micro and Ghost left the arena first, and, Stu and Andy. Andy was outside waiting for everybody, but Stu and Juan, and then, like, I was one of the last people to leave, and you just feel it. Like, you feel the emotion of, everyone's cheering, and, like, they fucking did it, right? Like, holy shit, they just beat them. And it doesn't go without showing that, like, the game was so close. And like, the games themselves, like, being within that 2,000 to 3,000 margin, it's like it was anyone's tournament to win. And I look back at it and I say it's the best games I've ever played. And that version of SCYTHE that everyone saw there, and the version that I played in that tournament, is like the best version I've ever played ever. Anything that I've done. And I was happy I got to share it with Stu, you, and everyone else that was at the tournament, because part of the journey, like, this is kind of an end game quote, but part of the journey is the end. And we felt like it was the end for us. It was, for me and Stu, 2011, that one conversation we had in Ann Arbor spawned to, the first conversation with Micro and Ghost, where they were caught off guard of us asking them to play with us. And I just thought about that the whole time, when I was walking out in the lobby, of those two conversations led to us winning and led to this moment that, I'll cherish for the rest of my life, of being able to play with them and win the tournament with them and do it our way, do it the Detroit way of just grit, practice, just hard work, and just, going at each other, like, sometimes, with language, other times, with just like pure skill. And seeing the fruition of all the hard labor was like, the crowning moment of everything. And being able to say that, you beat the best player that's ever played the game, and his brother, one of the best players ever to play in the States, himself. And that team, it was a crowning achievement for me. But what do you think, Stu? Your feelings
no,
on
I agree. Like,
the game and everything.
it was it was good to get to that mountaintop. It was good to get to the end there. It was a load off, especially because of all the training we had poured into that tournament in particular. I mean, the only other time we worked that hard was leading up to 2013, and when you work hard, you get the results. And so it was cool to see that come to fruition as well. And like all the growth of all the players was really cool. Might have led to more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the pandemic really smashed a lot of it.
Yeah, I'd say, like, after this tournament, we were joking around. After we won, we had the belt that Rhea had, and we had our title, we had everything. Everyone was so happy. You can tell in the pictures, like, it's just genuine. Everyone's on like cloud nine at the awards dinner. Afterwards, I made a comment about, like, next year we'll be in Brisbane, 2020, and the comments were real. Like, I was like, I will literally pay for our entire team to go over there and defend our title, like, because they came here, we can go there and we'll play them anywhere they want to play. And as long as we have our team, we'll see how we do, right? And we knew that would be an uphill battle. Even, like, we're going to defend our title, we're going to challenge them in either their home arena or an arena they've played at before. So with Auckland getting pushed back, and COVID happening and life happening in between of all those things, 2019 is, that year is a blessing and a curse for me, personal level, and then playing level. But I think that, had the momentum kept and we went in 2020 and we went as a team and played, like, those games, I have no doubt would have been just as good as the 2019 games. The 2019 thing.
Yeah, when we finally got to Auckland in 23, like, that's kind of how I felt, was, looking at that arena, knowing how we play, knowing the way that we think about laser tag and arenas, and me just watching everybody else and like how they were utilizing the space. It was one of those things where it's like, man, that would have been awesome, but we couldn't make it happen. I'll say this though about the pandemic, like, because there was a couple of years, and specifically in 2014 and 2015. Those are the two I can really put in. 16 would have been the same, but I was also doing a small business thing. So where, like, I'd had some earlier bad experiences on various teams, and I was fed up with it. So I wasn't going to put myself through some of those situations. And, honestly, that's partly me being immature and a big baby about it. And like when the pandemic hit and tag was taken away, and, I knew people early on that had passed away from it, because I was going to the airport a lot. So that changed my perspective, and like that opened me up. The other thing is I didn't play anything but Space Marines until the pandemic. Like I was a snob about Laserforce and what I wanted to do, and like the pandemic hit, and after that I was like, I just like playing tag and like hanging out with these people, all you guys, and so that's the priority now. And so now I'll play with anybody. It doesn't matter. And I'll go back and get 0 point. If it's happened to me before, it'll probably happen again. Like it doesn't matter, and I'm trying other games and stuff like that. Like I've also branched into Armageddon. I mean, there's a lot that kind of opened up for me. I've also been significantly hurt since then. So playing through that every year, but yeah, that moment where it was like everything was shutting down and things were really looking grim. It just made me think that I only have a finite amount of time left, and I want to enjoy as much of it that I have, because I'm not gonna be able to do this for forever, and probably not a whole lot longer. But I'm gonna try. I want to try to get as healthy as I can again, and see if I can do anything, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Did you guys have any questions before I like touch on something else really quick?
Yeah. So a big part of the Detroit identity throughout the years has been your rivalry with Syracuse.
Yeah.
How do they fit into all of this as far as like the grand scheme goes?
Yeah, so I know we didn't touch on it too much when Rachel was here, but at least for me in 2009, I didn't know, like when I joined that team like 2 weeks before we were gonna play. They're like, "Oh, Syracuse is coming," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool! Like I get to see how other people play the game, right?" And at first it was like, okay, I think that they don't understand the game, right? Because I was like, they're doing some weird shit, and there were a couple games I was like, I stopped to talk to a couple of them, and I was like, guys, if you do this thing over here, like you can come over through here and like cut through, and I was like, it's just easier. Like you're wasting steps going all the way around, and like, oh, but over there it's covered, and I was like, yeah, but you can't get shot anywhere going the other way. Like you still can't get hit. So, and I think like that piece, like the rivalry for me really didn't start until 2011, because we had, I played with them in 2010 at Nats. So like, we had the first East Coast. We knew we were gonna get smashed because we're playing in New York's home arena, but it opened me up to the idea of like a one-story arena can be possible if made the right way. And I think Syracuse's arena is made the right way. And
Oh yeah.
it's super comfy. It's not hard on your knees. Like it's easy to play. It's light. It plays how it's supposed to play. And I know, like, the joke with New York is, oh, they're always the best team until the last day when everyone learns the arena, and then they get beat. But the rivalry really started for me in 2011 is at Nats, where we were like, okay, we have this team that's starting, and New York has this team, and hey, we're going to do pretty well here. And when we were doing some of the practice games, we actually beat like a hybrid New York team. It wasn't their full A team, but we beat like 3 of the New York A players, and they took 3 other players, and we actually beat them. We're like, okay, see, this is possible playing it our way. We just got to build on that. And I think once they kind of went into the finals with Brisbane and ended up ultimately losing, we're like, okay, well, how do we test our skill against their skill in a neutral arena, with all of us having full strength teams? And that never really kind of came to fruition. I wish it would have, but every time we went somewhere, I was like, as long as we are ahead of New York, like we can say like, okay, we did good. But because we wanted to be the dominant team on the East Coast, we wanted it to be like, the best players play here, and then Detroit's at the top of the list of the best sites on the East Coast, and SCYTHE is at the top of the list of the best players, right? And it took a while for us to get there. I think like the rumblings were there early on, but the rivalry like really started kind of for me around then. And I was like, okay, every time I go to New York, I want to be able to play to the best of my ability to try to beat these guys in their own arena. And funny enough, it ended up happening when we had Venom on our team, which was a tournament where I got to play Resupply, and I can tell you it was the best tournament ever. Not better than 2019, but it was like a fun, laid-back tournament. I didn't take it really serious. I think our team was just more like laughing at everything and kind of just like making a joke out of everything, and not really taking it probably as serious as we should have. But I loved it.
That was also an homage to Flint.
Yeah,
and
that's
kind of
one thing
carrying the way he thinks about tag and you know, the fun aspect that he used to bring to everything that he was involved in.
I know I didn't touch on it much here because it's, you know, the one thing I will say, like both with Flint and like Kat, who also played, myself, Ghost, and you know Micro, we kind of hold Flint in special regard. We really want to talk about it in length, but I'll mention it here where even before he came to play, like in 2013, we played with him all the time on Call of Duty. So you imagine the memes with all the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 memes that they're out there with the group chats and the Xbox Live Party chats and everything. You take that and you add Flint in there, and it's special. And you know, he was an amazing kid, and you know, depression is one of those things where you know it's a poison of the mind, and it's something that is extremely hard to battle. You know, yourself, and I think that you know he hit it very well, as you know many do, and it's tough that you know, a few of us had the pleasure of having those tough conversations with him where he would open up to us in the Xbox Live chat and, you know, it would change the mood of how we were playing the game, but it became more serious. And, you know, in the back of my mind, you know, you always look to like, why were there signs? It's like they were so subtle you missed them. They were gone the moment you thought about it. You know, myself and Micro and Ghost, we all look back to see like, could we have done something different? Were those conversations more than we were, you know, letting on to be? Like, was there more there? Could we have had something in any of those conversations leading up to him playing in Detroit of like, you know, stepping in and having, you know, not an intervention, but, you know, just saying more like, hey, I'm here. Are you having these thoughts? And I think like that's the part that gets missed the most of depression is kind of like, you know, it's taboo to bring up suicide because you don't want them to think about it. You don't want them to have the ideation of it. But part of like having someone that passes away in that, you know, situation is it's hard to bring up, but you got to ask them. And if they are, you can handle the conversation way different than operating in the dark. And, you know, he holds a special place in Detroit lore, and we'll get into that when we talk through, you know, in a mini series where all of us will share, you know, those games and what we played. Because in 2013, you know, we were smashing everyone. He was making jokes of it. He was making memes of it. And, you know, he's making light of how bad Zach was playing and, you know, how much of a fun time he was having with just us and not the Zach guys. But, you know, when the news came, it hit all of us. And, you know, it hit Detroit especially harder because we played with them and we, you know, we were used to seeing him online all the time. We were used to seeing him in our lobbies, seeing the name there, seeing him in the scorecards, and you know, him and Ghost going back and forth joking about, you know, the nuke and how easy it is to get in Modern Warfare, and then joking about like crap guns and everything else. So I do feel like, you know, he has a special place in Detroit lore, and we want to talk about it in length about him. And, you know, we'll definitely bring on some of the SAC guys too to talk about it because it is a sad topic, but we want to make sure that, you know, he isn't, you know, missed and he's not forgotten. You know, a lot of us still have his parents at it, and, you know, the work that they've been able to do, they moved mountains for that barrier. And, you know, them with all the other family members and, you know, people that have lost people, in that manner with the bridge itself. It was a huge win. And I was very emotional when I saw that they were able to get that accomplished because, again, he holds a special place in, Detroit lore for a lot of us. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That was challenge. Losing Flint, losing Cat, losing every player that we've ever lost. Mental health is serious, and if you're ever suffering or in crisis, you've got 988.
Yep.
You can reach out to counselors. I highly recommend it. I went through years and years of therapy for my own issues, and yeah, man, what his parents in particular were able to accomplish in San Francisco. They're the ones that advocated the hardest for over 7 years, I want to say,
Yeah.
to get the suicide nets on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
they
cool
do
that
have
happened, but the cost was too high.
yeah, they do have like all the links to the post, where where they have the memorial and stuff. And then all the the newspaper and the news outlets for the town hall meetings, the meetings with elected officials, and really all the hard work that they poured into made a lasting impact of his legacy of he's not forgotten, he's still with all of us. But the fact that they were able to move mountains with other families and other people that have lost loved ones to that bridge, and they were able to get that over the finish line and get it completed, speaks volumes, to their effort and to really the memory of, Flint himself and, all the others that have lost their lives there. So, not to get too far off track, but yeah, I will say, like, to anyone that's out there, and I know like there are others, like, if you ever need anything, like day or night, it doesn't matter any time of day, it doesn't matter what time zone you're in, anything, like if you ever need help, you can reach out to me and I will be, an ear to listen to all the problems. And you're not in it alone. You have a huge community out there that, loves you and would be there for you in an instant.
And we take
stay-
this shit seriously.
Yeah, like it's super serious, and it doesn't matter. Like, again, if you feel like you're the only person going through it, I can 1000% tell you you're not. And just my interactions with people that were in my life that I've lost to that, and talking to someone helps. It really does, and there's steps that you can take to get better, and no one's going to judge you for it. No one's going to think any lesser of you. And I know that's one of the biggest fears, is you don't want to be a burden. You feel like everyone's better off without you. That is definitely not the case. So we're here to help, and 988, all the resources are available. Like I said, if anytime, day or night, you can shoot me a message, a messenger, you can shoot me a Facebook message, Snapchat, anything. I will drop in everything to try to help you. So but yeah, that's my thoughts on that piece. And really Flint and what he kind of meant to us in the Detroit community. But any other questions that you had?
Well, kind of a wrap-up question.
Yeah.
How if you guys were to give any specific advice to
Oh no.
new players who are looking to get into Space Marines, what would it be?
I'll let Stu go first.
Oh, geez. Be okay with losing. No, but for real, like, when you go into something, when you're a new player, you're not going to be good at it. And, so it takes some mental toughness and some perseverance to kind of get through that and, and start to develop. But anybody can develop, and they can develop into a mighty fine player. I've seen it across sites. I've seen some players that, you think, oh boy, like this person, they're going to get rolled. And after several years, you start to see them rolling other people at times that you don't expect, or at least doing some things that you don't expect in a game. And, so it's important to kind of keep at it, and don't be afraid to go against people that are better than you, because that's how you get better.
Yep. I always have the joke that the advice I always give, Josiah knows this, is shoot stuff, don't get shot.
Yeah.
But no, I would say like
Yeah, we've heard that one.
yeah. There's so many that I have. I know, like I've talked with players across the community over the years on different aspects of what they're trying to do. I think it's down really to two themes. Like, don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, because like Detroit's journey is one of having to realize that the best players at your site are not right, and that the best players that everyone thought were the best were not, and that hard work, a good work ethic, and being, coachable, being able to be receptive to feedback is going to trump those players that have been playing for 10 years and still don't understand why they should be in back corner versus the effing tower, or like why the tower is so important overall in our arena. So just be okay with challenging the status quo, because two things are going to happen. One, the person is going to explain it to you. They're gonna tell you why the things happen. And two, you now will get the opportunity to say, well, like, why wouldn't we just do this over here instead? Isn't this better? And it will tell you, all you need to know about the person you're talking to. That person's either going to break it down further and help you understand, like, hey, maybe we tried that, it didn't work, or maybe it's not great. Or they're going to shut down, and you can now realize you shouldn't go to that person anymore for advice. The other piece I'll say of it is like, Rome wasn't built in a day, as the saying goes, is exactly how Detroit's journey was. Is I wasn't always this great player. I didn't know anything about Space Marines really when I started playing, and I didn't like the game, and I didn't know how to nuke as a commander the first tournament I played. I had to ask someone in the middle of the game, and that's where I started, and this is where I ended up. And just the mindset I kept was, teamwork is always going to trump individual skill. And I can be the best player on the team, but I can't, carry this team over the victory line. Like, I still require my team to do things in the game that allow us to win the game as a team. And you're not always going to find the right team, and you're not always going to be part of that winning team, or, the right pieces. And maybe you have some pieces, but not all of them. Putting those things together and realizing, like, hey, you yourself have to change as well. Like, you can't just build the team around you and have the team be successful. You have to play to your team's strengths, and you have to play to their weaknesses. And when you're playing and you're, practicing, that's when you get all of that out. That's when you, take feedback to the chin. Stu's had to do it. I've had to do it. Like, even those instances where tragedy was, giving me insight, I was reluctant to take it on. I was like, what do you mean? That sounds absurd. But then you have someone that's been this dominant, heavy player for eons telling me this. It's like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense now that you're explaining it, and I can ask questions about it. So I think those are kind of the most impactful like things that I could leave is, team first, team player, and just challenge the status quo, because you never know. Like, Loveland could put a wall up in the middle of third ramp and split the arena in half, and it makes great for public play, right? You would have to adjust to that, and the gameplay is going to switch because of that. And maybe now the way the game was being played is no longer the best way to play the game. And same for New York. Maybe they put in, a full ass cubby in green and actually make green viable, right? And that changes the whole dynamic of how you would play green. You no longer have to just go take red Edor, right? Or for those of you that are, great Syracuse players, you're no longer like holding E50 for no effing point of a reason, right? Those little nuanced things build upon your growth as a player. And being that type of player, you're more approachable to everyone else that's looking for that type of player, of looking to round out their team. And you never know what will take you. It will take you to the land down under. It will take you to, upstate New York. It'll take you down through Cali and over to the Motor City in Detroit. It'll take you many great places. So
maybe you'll even start playing disc golf.
Yeah, maybe you'll even start playing disc golf. By the way, Lenny has a handicap of like 100. So he phased a disc through a goddamn tree. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I have proof of it. I witnessed it with my own eyes. trees are a lie when that man threw that disc.
Yeah, trees are only 70% real.
Yep.
Great
question. What else you got?
My final message, and this one goes out to Terrell, Terrence, Shayla, Nick, all those guys who are just bumming around. Go to fucking members night. Play fucking laser tag. Last time I was invited to come out and play laser tag in Detroit was by Craig. So you guys have to start doing stuff so that I can come out and play laser tag.
I'm on it. If not, we'll just drive to New York. It's okay. We'll stop at Niagara Falls.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you can tell them personally from me. Fuck you, play laser tag.
Yep. I'm on. I'll see him. If not today, Thursday. We try to do B-dubs on Thursday, so I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Josiah approved.
Yeah, get him.
But it was a pleasure, guys, as always.
Whoa. Josiah asked like 8 questions, and I'm just sitting here waiting my turn. What the heck?
Yep, go ahead. I'm all for it.
I
wasn't sure if you were just doing the background and like Josiah was secretly just asking the questions and you were handing him the questions.
No, I'm sitting here because you're Josiah's laser tag hero, and I'm letting him geek out to ask you all the questions he wants to ask.
I can say that
and Stu is mine.
This past year at Nats, getting to talk to Josiah was like the highlight of my off time because I was dying with the plague, which was cool. I got food poisoning early in the trip, and that shit kicked my ass the whole fucking time I was there, and I was deeply upset with I didn't get to do all the things I wanted to do. So I'll make it up to you guys, though. I am trying to plan. I have 2 trips I'm trying to do. One, I started a new job, so my vacation time is ass, but it'll have to be on the weekend. But I am trying to make it out over to New York to see Abby and Ruth and the kids over there, and then introduce Sammy to the next generation of Syracuse players there. And then I am trying to make it over to Loving to talk to you guys and see you guys because I didn't get to spend a lot of time talking to you as planned during the Brisbane trip. So I do want to make up for that as well. So
come on down.
Yep.
Yeah, do it.
But okay, what questions do you got?
I'm just gonna ask one. A big theme.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask one, but it's a big one. Yeah. I wrote down a bunch of things over the course of the last 3.5 hours. Just like every year, you kind of noted different lessons that you learned, and I think that's really cool that you're able to piece them out like that. One of my favorite things, and one of the things I'm always still wrestling with and struggling with, is like team building. People are so dynamic and ever changing, and the mix between all 6 players have an interaction with each other, so it's very complicated. Yeah. And you said in 2011 you were willing to go against the grain of some of your veteran players to bring on newer talent that fit the mindset that you had. And that seemed like it began like you had a core team with a couple of pieces that changed year in and year out between 2011, 2013, and 2019.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll ask the question simply, but expect you to kind of go off script a little bit. How do you measure talent versus mindset versus experience/reputation? And like, how do you overcome the fear that you get of letting somebody new play an important role on your team and believe in them?
Gotcha. Stu, you want to take this or you want me to take it? Stu, it was Stu's idea.
You can both take it.
I came out to members night to play what is called the game in Blast. And I was like, okay, if I'm coming out here, I want Sidetracks, which is like this burger place in Ypsi. Great burgers, by the way, if you haven't been there. And he's like, hey, I have I have something I want to run by you. And I was like, oh, okay, what is it? And it was his idea of like trying to build this thing. So I'll let him like cover that piece, but I'll answer it out also afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces at the time, and one of the things that was standing out to me was, first, a lack of clear leadership, because they had originally, I don't know how long they were planning to hold it together, but they had a team that they ran during one of our East Coast events, I think, and I'm pretty sure y'all won. So like you still got through, and but it was basically all the top scoring players, right?
Yeah.
And it ended up being kind of a team of individuals, and like I said, they won that tournament, so it did kind of work. I was skeptical that it would ever work on a nationals level, and so I suggested that you have to start you still need a couple of the top players for sure, and I was trying to get some of the ego a little bit under control, which was that there's still a lot of ego on that team no matter what, but
the team name was literally Team Ego. That's what the team name was. By the way, for reference,
that's right.
What Stu's talking about.
I forgot about that.
Team was
Team Ego.
And
yeah,
it felt dirty winning,
but
in that.
Yeah.
That way. I'm sorry. Not to go off track, but it felt dirty playing on the team.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Like, because that was a growing experience in itself, and it taught me a little bit too. Like, it gave me pause about like how much you can get away with. But there needed to be an order to things, and a structure. And so some of the things that we were talking about early on was resupply rotations, because on a team especially stacked like that, they put a lot of pressure on the back end on the resupply to keep people where they need to be. And also when everybody's playing as an individual, they're not thinking about the appropriate time to go back. They're thinking, oh, I just want to get that one more hit, or oh, I can make another run into this team. And that's all fine and good. Maybe you do get 2 more meta kits out of it, but if you leave yourself empty, and their 3 hits were able to trade off the few times they were killed with getting resupplied, they can just follow you back to your own resupply and eliminate your team immediately. And so that was like the big vulnerability that hadn't really played out. But that was kind of the basis of trying to get a little bit more of a semblance of control, using that greatness, but with some control, and doing a better job of dictating the most of the game, instead of just like kind of going in and causing chaos and then using your sheer talent to overcome everybody else. Because the better teams, like, we weren't playing the better teams at the time, and I knew that the better teams, like their teamwork was always going to overcome a team of solo players, or players that just couldn't quite. Like, they were close. Don't get me wrong. They were. It's not like these guys were aliens far off and learning English for the first time. Like, they were good. You just to elevate the way that you play, you need to start thinking about how things flow and where you're positioned, and giving up things at times. Allowing a sort of a reset, so that you get what you need on your team. And you also give yourself something to continue to do out in the field, because you can overdo it and then lose control and get pushed. And when you get pushed, mistakes happen. Your medic only has 20 lives. You can't allow too many mistakes to happen.
I love it. So I broke this out in kind of a couple different ways, because when Stu pitched the idea, like the two names that came immediately to mind was Micro and Ghost. And we, like, having played soccer and organized sports for so long, like there's a mindset trap you have to break sometimes, is with a lot of players that aren't exposed to, upper echelons or upper tiers. You get into the complacency that, like, I am the best player, right? And you lose the mindset of there's someone better, right? And Michael Jordan mentioned this in The Last Dance, and he talked about, he treated as he was just playing himself, and he treated his like workouts where I'm playing myself. He wasn't saying, "Hey, I'm the best," right? Because he had other players that he felt were better, but in different aspects of the game. So in every aspect, there was someone better than him. But when he did all of the aspects, he was better, right? And I think, before all that came out, going back to soccer, I was like, Stu knows this. I was playing on a team and I hated my life. The coach, his son played on the team. We were a traveling team. His coach, the coach just refused to listen to his son. His son didn't want to play keeper. He forced his son to play keeper, and he forced me to play striker. He's like, "Oh, you're too short." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Can you have you seen me jump, motherfucker?" But those games, we were winning. We won. His son wasn't bad. His son was just lazy, right? And his son didn't want to play soccer. He wanted to play baseball. He wanted to play video games. He wanted nothing to do with soccer at all. And we could see it. The whole team could see it. And we're just like, dude, you gotta just talk to your dad, right? It was like a whole thing. But it showed me that hey, I'm playing here. I'm trying to break out. I'm trying to get film. I'm trying to play semi-competitively in a nation where soccer is absolutely the bottom of the barrel of sports. And it is so hard of how organized sports is in the US to get anywhere unless you know someone and have a shit ton of money, because it's all pay to play. And so what I'm reaching out to is overseas. I'm reaching out to, camps in Italy, camps in Spain, camps in Germany, trying to find someone that's going to hey, there's this American player, right? And I'm trying to play for this travel team that just started in the Midwest, and it's just localized because we don't have a lot of fields established. And I have this son that's getting everything handed to him to try to get to where I'm trying to get to. And I'm on this team, and I'm just like, why am I playing? What am I doing? I'm wasting my time. Who's better? Can I play against a better tier? We end up going undefeated, and we lose in the title game in a penalty shootout because the dude's too lazy to fucking jump for the ball. And I was like, dude, I just wasted all this money. It's frustrating. I scored a lot of goals, yeah, and I was fast and did all this stuff, but hard work trumps talent when talent doesn't work hard. It's a saying that you hear all the time. You hear it a lot in the US. And that meaning of it didn't hit me until that. And when Stu had this conversation, the reason those two names came to mind, because they were willing to play games to get better. They didn't care that these people were playing with this people, and these people didn't want to play with these people, and all this background drama and all who's better and all this shit. They didn't care about any of that. They just wanted to play and get better. That was number one. Number two was when Stu mentioned the balancing of egos, we didn't want any of that on our team. We understand, they had a little bit of an ego thing, and they were coming over to play with us, and they were starting to surpass some of the other players. But keeping the expectations relevant to where we haven't accomplished anything. Yeah, we're beating the shit out of players that just don't learn anything for 10 years. That doesn't matter. What needs to happen is getting on the mindset of, we're not the best team. We're not the best players. We're not even the best at anything. And we can beat people on our side all day, but it matters what we do outside of the arena. And once we kind of table the expectations of the goal is to win a title, how do we get there? It's all about listening. It's we have years of experience we're going to dump onto you because you're willing to listen. the people that we had that were better were not willing to listen. They weren't willing to like just, hey, for like just 2 seconds, go sit in the back corner for me. Just go sit back there. I don't care what your score is. You'll understand when you're back there. They don't go back there. Like, go to the tower. Stay in the tower the whole game. Don't move. Oh, but blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, trust me. They don't do it, right? Like, those players, it's like, yeah, they were great players, and people thought they were the best players, you know, playing at their timeline, right? But they were unwilling to listen. They were unwilling to adapt. And I think that's part 2 of it, is like Micro and Gross were willing to adapt to what we were trying to do. We didn't want to play on the ramps. We wanted to play in back corner. We wanted our resupply to sit in back corner in the open where they could get shot from anywhere because our strategy was going to work. And they were the only ones willing to try it. Every other game we tried them, the people are like, nah, and I'm sitting on the ramp, safe on the ramp. Like, and this is before Craig's changes, so the ramps were even more of a stronghold. And we were willing to give up the stronghold of the ramps to take this position, knowing that it will eliminate teams in 5 minutes. And once they listened, the next part of it was just like, ignore the noise. There was so much noise happening around us playing with them and picking them, and, you know, the animosity from other players saying, you know, like, why are you picking them? We're better than them. I've been playing for X amount of years and blah, blah, blah. It's like, but you haven't learned anything in 3 years. Like, in the 3 years since 2009, you haven't learned anything. Name one new thing you learned to do. Name one new thing you've done differently in the game. Nothing. And the last part of it is when you talk about, like, you know, we'll call it like how nice they are, I guess you'd say. A toxic pill will like contaminate anything in a team environment. Just one toxic player is enough to contaminate the team.
I don't need to write that down.
Like, yeah, I won't say like there's different levels of toxicity, right? There's players that are just pissed because they're pissed. Like, they're not getting their way of things, right? There's players that become toxic because they're frustrated that the team isn't where they want it to be at. Like, you know, there's more that the team can do. They're capable of doing more, and they're not seeing it in their timeline that they're envisioning. That's like a whole nother level of toxicity, right? And the last part is like the sore loser, right? Like, they have all the other intangibles, but once they lose, they're just like pissed, right? That's really what we were kind of dealing with. So it's like Micro and Ghost, you play with them in Call of Duty, like, we hate fucking losing, right? We had this win streak, and like the win streak still like exists because none of them played after, you know, we all stopped playing pretty much after the Flint thing. Like, our group stopped playing Call of Duty together. So that last piece was the easiest to break of like the sore loser. It's like losing happens, part of the game. Like, you can't grow without watering a plant. Like, the flood has to happen, the rain has to happen, the clouds have to happen for the flower to bloom. And those times have to happen. The feedback has to take place. Like, whether it's me yelling at you because you're not doing it the 3,000th time I've told you to do it, or like it's happened the first time and I'm just like, hey, here's what you do in this instance. Instead of going here, go there. Those are like the cornerstone of like building the team. Now, I know this is coming from a spot, right, of Loveland, and there's a lot of dynamics that go into the team building, and I kind of talked about this with Josiah at Nats, is like there are certain players that don't play well together, and that is perfectly okay. Like, you're trying to do too much or you're doing too little. The piece to solve that, though, is getting them to see the perspective that you're in that position. And whether you're manufacturing it in a fake game and you're like, hey, this is the scenario we have, and this is what's going to happen. This is why I'm telling you to do the thing, right? If the person isn't receptive of that, then it's never going to be a good fit. It's not going to work. And it could be your 3 best players at the site, and you could say, like me and Stu did, it's like, sorry guys, like, we're going in the new direction with newer players. And it's like, yeah, we could pick these people, but they have those toxic traits that we can't break. They have they're just pissed because they're not getting their way. They're mad that they're not being picked. They're mad that they think it should be done their way and not the way that we're trying to do it. Like, we can't fix that if it's been years and you're still like doing the same thing. And we made that decision based on that. But the easiest thing to overcome is the sore loser piece, or like no one likes losing, but it's the easiest to coach and it's the easiest to like solve for.
I hate losing.
Yeah. The other piece of this is like you guys have a lot of like raw talent. I think like the animosity piece is what we face as well, is no one wants to keep playing the A team and keep losing, right? And it sucks, but it has to happen for everyone's growth, because the B team is not going to understand what is going wrong at the beginning of every game unless it happens. When you start doing mixed teams and like random draw and all this other nonsense, they're not being exposed to that happening, because the player that does it is stuck in resupply, or the player that, you know, nukes with a perfect nuke timing is not playing commander. They're stuck on scout, right?
Can I just say, Josh, as of this moment, Josiah and I are on the B team, and we've been fighting the A team, and we've been losing. We haven't beat them 6-on-6 yet. And I don't know about you, Josiah, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I haven't gotten to learn this much in a long time. After every time we lose, we go to the back corner and we're like, okay, what happened? What do we need to do next time? What, you know, it's, and I hope just that me saying that right there can be a lesson for people on the B team. Like, it's a privilege to get to, you know, learn like that.
The other thing I'll say is like, if you're training new players, random draw is great. If you are A team versus B team, random draw is not going to work for you. You have to put aside the ego and the animosity. You have to train with 2 commanders. You have to train with 2 heavies. You have to train, and they're not going to want to do that because it's like, oh, well, you don't think we're that good. It's not about not being that good. It's you have to simulate the scenarios for both teams. And you know, I stepped down and I played with like the B team. The problem was like my style doesn't help them, because my style is midfield. I'm accounting for everything that could go wrong in that moment is happening simultaneously around me, and I'm adjusting to it. I'm covering your flank, so yeah, you're not getting hit from that window. But when you're not playing with me, they're destroying you from that window, because like the balance was there in that game. And the other thing I'll say for like the team building thing is, in terms of challenging the status quo, like you're going to have newer players that are going to just say yes to everything. Challenge them, because if they're saying yes to something's wrong, you know, they're just saying yes to like, because you want to hear it. Like if you can get them to be like, wait a minute, that's not what, you know, Josiah said last week, right? Then you've found something. Like you've found that notion of curiosity, and that curiosity is what is going to carry them all the way through to like you guys building, you know, an unstoppable team. And the position wise, I'll say like for us in team building, like we knew what we wanted to do, we knew where we wanted to put the players, but the players were not always comfortable in being in that position. And from a leadership aspect, I would say like sometimes you have to force it. You have to like force Micro to play a 3-hit, right? Like you have to force our resupply to not play in the safety or the comfort of what they're used to. You have to force the scouts and not resupply them. Have them come back and be like, you're not getting anything. We just got attacked. Even though you haven't been attacked, we've just been attacked. We're split. Go back out there. Try to survive on the 20 shots you have, right? Like you have to force them to be uncomfortable sometimes, but that's where you get the most amount of growth. And that's where you'll start weeding through the players that don't work for you. Is in those moments, like a toxic player's like, dude, there's no one here, just shoot me. Like I'm low on shots, shoot me, right? They're not trying to learn in that moment. And if they're not doing it then, they're not going to do it 1,000 other times that you're going to practice. And unfortunately, you're just going to have to like cut it then and, you know, on to the next player. But
hell yeah, Scythe. Hell yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I'll mention, just because like I'm thinking of like the things that we went through in 2019, where I was like being more of a leader and like cussing my team out. I would say like the anger isn't there from the start. Like I'm not mad and like just cussing them out like Bobby Knight style right off the get-go, right? The frustration comes in when I've told you 1,000 times of doing something and you're still making the same mistake in that moment. It's like, well, what needs to break for you to learn that you have to do this different way, right? So I think like there's going to be times where healthy like emotions happen and you are going to get frustrated. Like Josiah called it out earlier, like, yeah, he gets mad sometimes, right? Or he gets frustrated because his team's not doing the thing, right?
Oh, I'm
That's
such a
going to
sore loser.
Yeah, that's going to happen, but a lot of that is healthy because you see like, okay, this went wrong in the game, and that player knows it went wrong, right? Josiah knows like, hey, I got back to my respawn. You guys were split. I didn't get lives, and I died out of the game, and I came back with 10 lives, as you said, right? That lets the medic know like, okay, well, why was I so far away from my team, right? If Josiah came back with 10 lives and he dies out of the game, why was I gone for 10 lives that he lost, right? So it starts getting into like, okay, the communication aspect. How do we start working on what our resupply is going to do and where they're going to go? How do we get our scouts on point and where they're going to play and what they're going to support? And then how do we know we're going to get our nuke timing down, right? When are we going to nuke? How are we going to use them? Defensive, offensive. So much of that goes really into the players that you have next to you. I'll say, Loveland has a ton of top talent. St. George and Cedar City, whichever way you want to call them now, you guys are at the forefront of like the talent for the U.S. And we have legacy players that are hanging out there. Yeah, we have legacy players that are hanging out there, but you guys are really like the next echelon of players, and your time is now. Like you guys are coming off, a win at Nats, and then you're coming off success from overseas before that, and you're coming off, Brisbane success now, and you're just building towards, the New York Shindig and New York Nats that's happening. A lot of it is just going to come down to talking with your players, and again, sometimes it's going to be the emotion's going to be there, but Stu mentioned it earlier. Sometimes you just got to approach them and like, hey, let's have a conversation about what went wrong. And it can be in the heat of the moment. Sometimes you can stop a game. Like the game is just a game you're playing. You can stop and like, hey, I noticed this happened. Like, don't stand here, stand over here. Or if like you're attacking with your scout and your scout keeps getting reset, like, hey, don't stand here or here or here. Stand over there because then you won't get hit, or backtrack this way. Like those little things add up, and you'll start noticing, like as time goes on, the players that are more receptive to what you're saying are probably going to be the players that you should invest more time in versus trying to convert top players that are still refusing to learn certain things of the game. So long-winded answer, but that's kind of our Detroit perspective, put it in into really fruition because we had to do it. We had to draw the line in the sand, and we made a lot of people mad, and a lot of legacy players stopped playing, and it happened, but it happened for a reason, and the success came because of it. So it's kind of like, was it really a failure? Like it did work out in our favor, and we became better players and a better site for it. But,
thank you both of you.
Yeah. What other questions you got? Do you got any more? It's fun question and Q&A session. I love it.
I will only do one more here.
Okay.
Like I got you both on, and it's like, yeah, after COVID, the site kind of fell apart. We haven't seen as much of you two. I've seen you both make guest appearances on non-Detroit teams throughout.
Yeah.
Stu and I both got the Nats 2023 on, and we got to have some great times out there going down waterfalls. SCYTHE, you did get to play on your super team in Loveland in 2022, which you were denied in 2015.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to ask you both about is Brisbane 2025. You were both on the U.S. East All-American Supercharged. You went out there. I'd prefer if this wasn't like a 1 hour story, but maybe just like this is kind of like the reboot or the sequel a little bit. I don't know. Like
reboot. I'm playing for Syracuse this year. Like, yeah, we just couldn't get enough together from Detroit, and I play there all the time these days. It's like, anyways, go ahead.
No, like, how was Brisbane? And
Painful.
Yeah.
Painful. No, it was a lot of fun. I would have done better 10 years ago. But no, that was actually one of my favorite, outside of our core, especially, 2013, 2019. That was probably my favorite team last year. It was just cool playing with a bunch of old wily vets that pretty much know what they're doing, and then we're all just battling our bodies to try to execute. Poor Josh and those damn meatballs, but
Oh my god.
it was a good time, and it was really cool actually because I hadn't played that arena since 2012. I've only been there once before, and so it had changed dramatically, and but it still had a lot of its charm, and it's a cool competitive arena. Yeah.
I'll say the IR situation was a little bit of a downer.
You should not be allowed
I
to
try
shoot
to
people off
block
the
these
roof.
things from my memory.
Yeah, like Josiah mentioned getting shot from the roof when you're behind the wall at Obstack. That part was like
Oh, I know.
it
I
cost
got
us a lot of
a lot.
issues. But no, I would say like I'll cover this more kind of like in the mini series piece, but with the stuff that happened in 2019, both the positive and the negative, like and we went into COVID and we realized, okay, COVID's going to be here for a while and we're not going to be doing a lot of stuff, and really our site, I think they took the notion of like, hey, the goal is to win a title, and they won the title, and they're like, oh, now I can retire off into the sunset. It's like, whoa, wait, that wasn't the goal.
Yeah.
But no, like I had a lot of fun outside of like every part of that trip just sucked. The FAA shit was happening, and I had a 3+ hour layover in Dallas, and I still missed my fucking flight. So then I got drunk in a Dallas hotel with a bunch of other people that missed their flights, which was great because the guy kind of stopped charging us after a while, and he was just like, yeah, this happens every night. And he's like, they pay me by the hour, and I just love hearing stories. So that was a hiccup. Being able to visit Fiji was pretty neat. I got this like authentic Fiji pearl bracelet that I absolutely love. I got some Fiji rum. That shit is delicious. So if you ever make your way out there, authentic Fiji rum was like one of the highlights. I was stuck there for a day, but like it was so beautiful there, and the people were so nice. They tell you not to leave the airport, but I left the airport. And I was like, I just have to experience it. If I never come back, I'm never going to be able to say I went around and got to go see, the island. So I avoided the tourist areas. So I just kind of like, went to a couple areas that were really cool. Made my way to, where did I land first? Sydney, and then Sydney or down to Brisbane, up to Brisbane. No, I flew into Melbourne. Sydney was when I was coming back. So flew into Melbourne, made my way into Brisbane, and like my bags were lost. So that was like second problem. My bags were lost, so I didn't have anything with me. The credit that I was supposed to have for Uber didn't go through. So then, I had to figure that whole thing out of being picked up when they were trying to shop. I needed clothes to even practice in. So that was a whole nother thing. And then I made the unwise choice of like, hey, I love the food over here. Let's go buy some food. So I bought some pasta and some meatballs. And it was the worst decision of my life to eat those meatballs because I was battling food poisoning for so long.
Goodness.
I know we had plans to talk like after each day and like night. I was just dead. I was so weak. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't really run in the arena. I was like sweating. Like I had the fucking food poisoning sweats happening. I was throwing up like constantly. Like I was trying to keep liquid down. I couldn't drink anything. Like
He's
I went to
walking
the
around the bottom floor like hobbling.
yeah, like I was hobbling multiple times too. Like I could barely go up the stairs. Like I was just so weak. I've never been that weak in my life, and I was like, "What is happening right now?" When I could finally keep stuff down, though, like it still took a while for me to get my energy back. But that was like day 4 of the tournament. We were already in like a bad seeding situation. Like my Michael Jordan flu game was against Brisbane B, where we came so close to beating them, but we survived the whole game, which was really cool. But yeah, overall, like I just tried to approach it differently from 2018. Like I was like, hey, I'm gonna talk to everybody. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk through some of the challenges that were impacting us. Even though I was dying, we were still at the tables. I was still talking to Baden about like, hey, here's what we're gonna do: switch attacks. There was still kind of the tendencies of the New York players of like playing the spot versus like moving. But that's just kind of how their arena plays. We're not going to break that out in one tournament, but no, getting to play again with Lenny, like after not being able to play with him for so long, is by far like if I don't play another tournament, like I'm glad like I got to play with them one last time, because they were the first time I played on a hybrid team. Was playing with New York in 2010, and it was so much fun, and using our speed to like just catch people off guard, like the Brisbane players of not realizing how the hell did they get down that far without getting a reset, right? Like that was truly fun. And then obviously Australia, like if you've never been there, you have to go once. Like the hospitality of that country, like I've been there 4 times. They've been great to me every time. A couple of people behind the scenes, like in 2014. So like Darren and Cookie and Kristen, and I got to stay with them when I was first there, and then the second time around was the caravan park, the 2 other times, and then hotels in the various cities, and then America gets a bad rap, or Americans get a bad rap. Luckily, I had my German passport as well, so just in case I didn't want to come off as being an American. But no, like the Aussies were like super welcoming, super nice. Everywhere you go, they don't care that you're a Yank. They're just like talking to you. They'll ask you about kind of some of the crazy shit that was happening in our country, but they're more like just like you're not a product of your leadership there. Like
they'll tell you, we don't blame you.
Yeah, we don't blame you. But no, one thing I will say, like the food is absolutely immaculate in Australia. Like I could not speak highly enough of the food there. Even though I had food poisoning, I was forcing myself to go eat Korean chicken, and I know Cody wanted to just have a palate of a toddler and just eat chicken dinners and burgers, and we were giving him shit the whole time about it. But like any chance I got to eat something great. And even when I was leaving the country and I was hanging out in Sydney, like I went to multiple restaurants there and ate things, and I didn't get the meat pie until the last day I was there. I was bummed about that, but I had that. And then obviously visiting the different parts of town. Me and Stu went to this awesome Italian place to get wood fire pizza, which was excellent. I went to the other Italian place on my last day there. It was great. So overall, it was a lot of fun. I know like the missed opportunities were there, but the other piece that, I got to do there, and this is like the closing chapter of SCYTHE that's kind of happening, is like mentoring. Like I get to tell you guys like what I'm seeing and like things that can help your own individual situations and push you guys past, your thresholds that you thought you were at. And it's like, oh no, there's this other tier that you guys can hit, right? I think that's the most rewarding thing now, because honestly, given the personal stuff that happened in 2019, I didn't think I was going to play again. And New York, they hold a special place in my heart too, because you know, that month after that happened was the toughest month of my life. And they forced me, like literally kidnapped me to go to New York, right? And I was distraught. They weren't used to seeing that side of SCYTHE, of just like depressed and just in a corner sitting there. But the hospitality they showed me, and like, including me in things, and coming up to me, talking to me, making sure I was okay. The drinks, the laughter, the food, everything. I definitely appreciate it. But I'm glad that I got to play with them one last time on their team, because I don't think I'll be able to this year just with my job. My job is terrible currently, but getting able to have that one last tournament with them was very special to me, because they were the first hybrid team I played on, and technically that was the last hybrid team I played on for Team USA. So it was a lot of fun.
Hey man, never say never. The future is unwritten.
Yeah, I will never say never. Like all the other greats, they have came out of retirement at one point in their career to do it again.
You could play for the Magic right now.
Yeah, I think that, I know Stu knows this. Like, I was trying to play for New York, because I do have more games in New York than I do have logged in Detroit currently.
Same.
But it is going, like, the job situation is just so hard. Like, I started a new job. The PTO there fucking is terrible. It sucks. I went from having like 8 weeks of vacation at Rocket to 1 here at this new place. So it's tough when you have a toddler and you have to use, sick time and vacation time for him being sick. But I will never rule out that you may not see me on a pack as a merc or, an extra. But it is going to be extremely tough for me to make it there. But if I can't make it, I do want to make sure I interact with the community in some way, either coming for the practice or time and then leaving that Sunday, or maybe coming up Friday. And cheating, working from there, because we can't work from home. I have a laptop, but just doing my work while I'm there and kind of hanging out with you guys at awards and everything, because I'd love to see you guys again. And like I said, if I can't make it, Loveland is still on my list to come hang out with you guys, because I didn't get to and Brisbane all that much, and I know there was much to discuss, so I do want to try to make up for that as well.
Don't forget.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on Josh real quick, if I may.
Yeah.
Just the international travel aspect. Try to do it. It's important to get out of this country and see what other people are about. Even in English-speaking countries, it just go there and listen and look around and think about your place in the world, because it's awesome. And then this is a cool community. I mean, not everybody's best friends with everybody, but we've all got people that we really look forward to seeing and hanging out with. In Brisbane, I was very fortunate to be able to stay with Toyota and his family for a few days, and I mean, it was an amazing experience. He has a beautiful family, and it was cool getting to know all of them a lot better, and hanging out. And so it's just good. Even if you're an introvert, I'm basically an introvert. I don't go out very much, but when I do, I like to get out there. So try it. It's going to be nerve-wracking going into it for some of you, but just try it and try to get out there.
I love it. Well said.
Thanks.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much for all that you've provided today.
Yep.
I feel pretty good.
Thanks
I think
for the opportunity.
I think we got to wrap this up here soon. Josiah, do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah. The last note. Don't forget. You tell Terrell, Terrence, Shayla, Micro, Ghost, all of them. Fuck you. Play some laser tag. Do you know how many people in Sacramento or San Diego would kill to have a laser tag center that they don't go play at? You are a privileged people. Go fucking play laser tag.
I know that also.
So. And not just that, but a center that'll be like just yours for a day, one day out of the week, just you.
Just you. Get out there.
It's there waiting.
Waiting.
Yeah.
The packs are collecting dust, waiting for Shayla. Waiting for you.
I'd love it, guys. Don't make me play for Detroit again.
Yeah, that'd be great. We would love to see a Detroit team. Give me some stats to stock.
Yeah.
I like looking at checking in. All I get to look at now is Rusty. Come on, chat.
It's because he's salty what you guys did in Auckland.
We didn't do nothing.
Yeah, 23.
Me and Luke were jammed in 4th place with the East Coast team.
No, I was gonna just roll with it, dude. Yeah, it was Rusty was easy. We made short work of him.
When I say you guys, I mean like what the Americans did as a whole.
The USA West, DK, Odin's Fist, Kodama, all those guys, Thunder, like they did Cody and Beans, Cody and Beans were with you guys, but you guys all did really well, same with Applesauce and Sweets. Like it was awesome. It was awesome being there with you guys and watch you guys play.
Glad you had fun.
The best part was the food and waterfalls for me.
Same. I really enjoyed the disc golf too.
Oh yeah. Beautiful. Okay, guys, any final words before we wrap this thing up? Detroit story.
You got anything, Stu?
Any final words?
Any last words?
If it's in you, get out and play. Like, it's a fun activity, keeps you moving, keeps you young. Like, do it.
Seriously, play laser tag.
Yeah.
Play
games, have fun. There's a lot of BS in this world.
I treasure it. It's been so good.
Yep. Man, there's a lot, but I would just say enjoy it is probably what I would say. There are times where you're not going to be in the best of situations, or maybe financially, personally, with your teammates or anything along those lines, but you never know the value of a good time until it becomes a memory. And some of those times are the best times you'll have in your life with those teammates, and you'll look back on it fondly and you'll wish that, hey, maybe I should have played more. And that's kind of what Detroit's going through now, is some of those players will look back like, oh shit, we could have been playing for 2 years, or maybe the site closes down. It's like, oh shit, we didn't play this whole time, right? And the regret will hit strong with those players. But just enjoy it. It's a ton of fun. The community's great, and you get to travel. You get to meet new people. You see new places, and you get to say oh, I went here, I went there. But the fun times are what matters the most. It's competitive, and I find sometimes it can be frustrating, but enjoy the ride while it lasts, because life happens quick, and things change very quickly, like job status, marital status, parental status, all of that kind of happens quickly. And players that you thought you might see one more time, you might not see again. And just enjoy it while you have the opportunity in the moment to do so.
I like
it was a
Scythe
pleasure,
the
guys.
Mentor.
I always love talking to you guys.
Scythe the Mentor is a cool guy.
Yep. There's more of it. Sammy's learning all my stuff.
For sure. Okay, it's 1:11 and I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
Thank you both for coming on.
Yep. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon, guys.
We'll talk soon.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Force Pro Sports. Subscribe to the channel and get cool perks by supporting our Patreon. Play Laserforce and become part of this era's next great sport.